Welcome everyone, I'm Sensei, bringing you news and reviews of battle games. Created by Team Nimbus and published by Tiny Hat Studios, Meadow is an ambitious game with many genres attached to it. As long as you like adult games, its main appeal can be just about anything, because each genre it tackles is well implemented down to the last detail. With stunning pixel world to explore and enemies to fight in dazzling turn-based combat, one could easily mistake Meadow to something completely else than an adult game. That is, if it wasn't for the robust breasts swinging around on some of the characters. This is one of those type of games you don't see every day, and it's clear that a lot of effort has went into making Meadow, something that becomes instantly clear from the first minute you set your foot on a little town called Cloverton. Fresh out of school as the top student, this little island floating in the sky is your new home, as you are assigned to take care of its farm as the town's new frontiersman or woman, depending on who you choose to pick at the start of the game. There's a lot to do in Meadow, but getting to know the town and its people is your first objective, and that's a moment where many will know if the game is for them or not, as there's a lot of text to be read in this game. As you might have already figured out yourself, Meadow is a story-driven adventure, so it comes as no surprise that there would be walls of text to read before you get to the actual gameplay. But that's what I love about the game personally. It takes its time to introduce itself. There's a lot of crazy looking characters out there, and it's hard to not find your favorite ones among them. The best part about these characters is that you know many of them will be part of the hentai scenes later on the road, so you got something to look forward to in them. But characters and story are not Meadow's only strong point. There's the combat too. I was very surprised to see that Meadow offers one of the best turn-based combats I have had the joy to experience in an adult game. If you have been following me for a long time, you know how much I hate the fact how combat in adult video games is often downright non-existing. It's usually so shallow and cheap looking that one could remove it completely from a game and there would be no difference, and in many cases it would actually improve the experience. Straight out from the first attacks you deliver to your enemies, you can see how much effort has gone to the animations alone. There's a lot of characters you can choose from to assign to your party, and each and every one of them has unique abilities that play differently from each other, so much so that some characters even hold minigames to be played before you can execute their attacks. It was also great to see that the combat wasn't just for a show, but it actually offered a level of challenge. It didn't feel like something I could spam my way through with just relying on my most powerful attacks, but I was actually forced to use my turns carefully. In the spirit of an RPG, through battles you get to level up your characters and make them stronger through stats and with gear that can offer various benefits inside and outside battles. Though the demo I played didn't offer much time to get to level up my characters, I could already see where the system was taking me, and I did enjoy it a lot. Truly, this is a well-rounded combat system that Team Nimbus has built, and it's quite easy to see that they had genuine fun while making it. Besides the combat, there's more to Meadow's gameplay that you can enjoy just as much. As Cloverton's new frontiersman, it is up to you to take care of a farm assigned to you, and it comes with many responsibilities. You plant various seeds to grow into different kinds of ingredients, which then can be used as cooking materials to feed yourself and your party for health and other benefits. Farming is not a simple task, but takes time, as you take care of the crops you have planted and spend days waiting for them to grow ripe to be finally harvested. To help you out, you can assign monsters from your barn to do the chores for you, though obviously it is more efficient if you do it yourself or let them help alongside you. Overall, the farming felt meaningful and something one can easily sink many hours into, though I personally have never seen myself the kind of player who enjoys games like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon where you do similar chores. So perhaps I'm not the best source to say whether this farming system is worth your time, but I did personally find it something fun to do on top of other things, not as the primary focus. But that's totally what the farming element is building to become, as later in the finished version you will be able to expand your land and plant greater amounts of crops, which is most likely one of the bigger parts of the entire game. Farming, however, is not the only thing you will be doing besides exploration and combat. You can also breed monsters at your barn, and these monsters act as your companion in bed and also on adventures. You can either mate with them through hentai scenes to make offsprings, or you can hatch eggs from which new monsters will be born. Now, if you happen to watch the YouTube version of this video, know that you can see the uncensored version on my website. Due to YouTube restrictions, you can find the link to the site from my Patreon page. Now, I have played a lot of pixel-styled adult games in recent memory, but none come even close to Meadow and its stunning hentai scenes with very smooth animations and imaginative sex scenes. For each monster you have in your barn, there's a straight and gay scene available, so up to 2 scenes per monster, and up to 4 scenes in total if the monster in question happen to have male and female version available. There's healthy amount of monsters to have sex with in this game, and with each sexual experience, these scenes get transferred to your gallery from where you can enjoy them whenever you feel like it. This is a powerful gallery to enjoy with a bunch of different monsters that all have been designed so well to a point that I can totally find myself returning to this gallery from time to time. While there are many great hentai games I have played in the past with galleries I like to return to every once in a while, it's easy for me to see Meadow as something that I would return to not just for its hentai, but for everything else it has to offer. Overall, the game is looking to become quite an amazing experience, one with a release window planned for next year and which will be available on Steam. If you want to try out the game, you can either choose between the Steam's Early Access or Team Nimbus Patreon test build. However, as these are not free demos to try out but something you have to pay for, you should know that the game in its current state is quite rough around the edges. There's a lot that needs to be polished here, but as this is not a review but an introduction to an unfinished game, I'm not going to go into detail about them. The Steam version is said to be more stable. To what extent that is, I don't know, because I picked the Patreon version, which is said to be updated more frequently. I personally did not find any problem enjoying the Patreon version despite a couple small hiccups here and there, so I can easily recommend it since you can just pledge a couple dollars to have access to the demo, compared to the more pricey Steam version for something that isn't finished. With that said, this has been my introduction to Cloud Meadow. I look forward to playing the full version once it's released, but we'll be reporting on its development whenever there's anything major worth to report on. With everything said and done, I will see you in the next video.
Meadow.